Hey there, and welcome to Darkness Dissected. Summer may be approaching, but here it's always the spooky season. Today's haunted location is the Tallman House, also referred to as the Lincoln-Tallman House. This home has seen a lot of activity since the 1950s, when it became a museum. Since then, visitors and staff have reported paranormal activity, from the figure of a man that looms in doorways and a ghostly figure of a woman dressed in white who is seen wandering the second floor, and so much more. So let's begin by delving into the history of the property before discovering which souls are still residing here. William Tallman was born in 1808 and became a successful lawyer in Rome, New York. He was completely dedicated to building a name for himself when suddenly a new opportunity came his way in 1850, a chance to purchase land in the West, which is the modern day Midwest. And it's safe to say he did just that. 52,000 acres of it in southern Wisconsin. Before long, William was making some serious money. He'd moved his family to Janesville, set up a new law office, and was selling off parcels of his land. By 1855, he made the decision to embrace his newfound wealth and build a home for his family, choosing a plot of land that overlooked the Rock River. The Tallman family's new home was finally completed in 1857, and it had all the modern conveniences of the time. It had gas lighting, running water, central heating, and even intercoms. Then, in 1859, 2 years before he became President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln came to Janesville to give a speech on abolition, something William was passionate about. Because of their mutual interest, William invited Abraham to his home for the night, which he gladly accepted. But things went terribly wrong in the morning, as Abraham couldn't find his shoes and needed to catch a train. Needless to say, the shoes finally turned up, but not before missing the train. Due to this, Abraham stayed for another night, which I'm sure was no real bother considering the luxuries the home had to offer. Then tragedy hit the family hard. In 1866, William and his wife Emmeline lost their daughter, Cornelia Augusta Tallman, who was affectionately nicknamed Gussie, from a sudden illness. The poor woman had only married the year before and had everything going for her. She was also a well-known pianist in the area and would play the family piano every day at home. But now she was dead, and the house had fallen silent. After William and Emmeline died, the family estate fell to the Tallmans' two sons, William Jr. and Edgar. Edgar and his lovely wife Frances, referred to as Nellie by those who knew her, moved into the house, with William Jr. purchasing a home with his wife not long after arriving in Janesville. While Nellie ran the property, doing everything she could to keep it maintained, Edgar worked in the family perfume and toiletry business. When he died in 1890, Nellie had to work even harder to keep the house up and running, and by this point, the house is getting on in years too. When things got too much, Nellie finally threw in the towel and moved in with family that lived close by. She died at the age of 76 in 1915. But now the Tallman house was empty, abandoned, and it would remain this way for 35 years until it was handed over to the Rock County Historical Society in 1949 on the understanding the house would become a museum. After a full year of refurbishing the home, it opened to the public in 1951 with the new name of Lincoln-Tallman House and remains open to this day. So a lot seems to have gone on inside this home, plenty of happy times, but also an intense sadness too. And now it's open to the public, and people and staff are noticing something's not quite right with the place. It seems to be haunted. Our first spirit is the most active, and that is Gussie. In death, she still loves to play the piano, and often the sound of music can be heard as Gussie runs her ghostly fingers over the keys. Seen wearing a white flowing dress, her spirit has been encountered walking up and down the second floor hallway, as well as her bedroom. One story goes that a person was doing some work in Gussie's bedroom when they heard the sound of footsteps approaching from behind. Wondering who it was, they turned around and saw Gussie standing in the doorway of her bedroom, watching them before suddenly disappearing. Another ghost who is said to haunt the property is described as being darkly dressed and likes to stare down at people from a small opening in the middle of the second floor hallway. Now this is interesting, as the Tallman family had put in the small opening so that they could check who was at the front door without having to go downstairs. Is this what the spirit is doing? Many believe the spirit's identity is that of Nellie Tallman, which makes sense as she dedicated her life to the upkeep of the house and will have used the opening when she lived there herself. Maybe she's checking on the comings and goings of visitors. Now, can you imagine taking a nice tour of the museum when suddenly you see a shadow dance across the room, but it's not behaving like a normal shadow? This one seems alive. There are many reports of ghostly figures who run from room to room at Tallman House and can be seen moving at a great speed. There is also the shadow of a man who many see lingering around doorways and in the home's attic. Museum staff also claim to experience a feeling of dread, as if someone is watching them while working in the attic. Could it be William, making sure his beloved home is being taken care of? The sound of ghostly footsteps is reportedly heard throughout the home, but the worst place is the servants' staircase that leads to their living quarters. Rumour has it that at some point a servant's child fell down the stairs and died. But that's not the only supposed haunting. In the servants' quarters, electronic devices will play up and not work. For example, one investigator suddenly experienced his flashlight not working, so he placed it in his pocket. Just like that, it came back to life. So it was decided that they'd do an experiment to see how the spirit reacts. The flashlight was placed on a staircase, and then the investigator offered a challenge. If you turn the flashlight on, you can have it. Amazingly, it didn't take long for the sound of a click to happen and the flashlight lit up. The spirits of the servants' quarters can be pretty active, to say the least, and be warned, they're now armed with a flashlight. Finally, we come to the basement of the property. Here, people have described a spirit who is really grumpy. In a nutshell, he doesn't want you there. And there may be a good reason for this. You see, where the basement now holds mechanical and electrical devices to run the house and is referred to as the canning room, on old documents it was referred to as the slave room. Now, it was known as the slave room due to a rumour that even to this day still lingers. It is said that the Tallmans used their home as a stop on the Underground Railroad. Now, if you're unsure what this means, well, the Underground Railroad was a network of routes, safe houses, and people who were willing to help those enslaved find freedom. So maybe the spirit of the grumpy man in that area is really just being protective of someone he thinks is still down there. I honestly find this house fascinating, and what a history that goes with it too. It seems like the house has always been filled with love and shows a strong bond between home and family too. Since becoming a museum, well, it changed how life was now inside the property, and I'm sure the deceased Tallman members are anxious that it still gets the love it deserves. What are your thoughts on this place? Have you ever been to the Lincoln-Tallman House? And if so, did you experience anything strange or unusual? Please let us know in the comments below. The Rock County Historical Society offers many different services, but as at the time of recording this episode, they don't offer ghost tours. So if you're interested in taking a step back in time to a place filled with wonder and luxury, then maybe give Lincoln-Tallman Museum a shot. And don't forget to let me know how it goes. As always, I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and until next time, my friends, stay safe out there.